Okay, my name is Mojtaba Esfandiari.
Hello, welcome.
Okay, thank you. I have a master's degree in information technology of Ferdowsi University of Mashhad, and already I am a PhD student in Mashhad. I am a VoIP, voice over IP consultant and software engineer focused on SIP service solutions for operators and carriers. I am a chairman of a board of NasimTelecom and work as a manager of research and developer. When I was 25-year-old, I wrote a simple voice project that I was developed with a C# program for desktop computers. It's work like as a pager device. In that time, I was not familiar with Asterisk or Kamailio or other open source projects. I have 15 years old of experience in developing soft switch and working with them like as Asterisk, like as a Freeswitch, like as a Kamailio, Opensips. I wrote a first book about Asterisk in Persian language. It was introduced by David Duffett in Asterisk Cons in 2017, I think. And already I am a member of Kamailio developer and developed some module for Kamailio like LRKProxy, like handover interception or HIOps for doing some lawful interception for soft switch or other devices. And in this session, I want to talk about LRKProxy. In my opinion, one of a famous Kamailio module for doing or delivery multimedia over huge network, voice over IP networks.
Nice. Yeah. So, well, if you have slides, so you'd like to share your screen, you're welcome to do so.
Yes. Let's me share my screens.
Go.
Okay. Could you see my screen? Okay. Before I want to talk about our presentation, thank you for ClueCon Weekly for having me, and thank you to you. In this presentation, I want to talk about LRKProxy in Kamailio. It's the title of is improve the performance of RTP relaying session in IMS transport layer with LRKProxy. My name is Mojtaba Esfandiari, a member of research and developer of NasimTelecom. Who am I? I am a PhD candidate in University of Mashhad, voice over IP consultant and software engineer. 15 years experience in developing voice over IP. Wrote a book about Asterisk in Persian language. I have a DCAP certificate from Digium, and I am a member of a Kamailio developer. Let's kick off. What is IMS? As you know better than me, IMS IP multimedia subsystem have introduced by 3GPP in 3 layer. The first layer is a control and routing layer. This layer is responsible for a call stop control function in 2 steps. The first step is proxy call system control function, and the second is integrator call system control function and SCSCF. You could see the main layer here. The bottom layer could see in the red rectangle is responsible for delivering multimedia, or data layer is responsible to carry out a multimedia in the IMS network.
Mm-hmm.
And the second layer is a tile layer is a service layer. The service layer is responsible for having a multi application service in your IMS network for supporting different type of application layer. For example, MMTel, for example, handover interface operations, or other services like conferences and more, etc. Another layer is responsible to database, and I don't talk more about this layer. And I want to focus on the data layer is responsible for a transport layer. The transport layer is responsible to carry out real-time multimedia in IMS network. Some nodes that are placed in this layer, like a session border controller, like multimedia gateway, like interconnected border gateway function, or IPGF, and multimedia gateway control function, or MGCF. All these nodes are responsible to catch the multimedia from the user or other section of network and carry out to the other networks.
Mm-hmm.
What is challenges in this layer? As you know, with raising of requests for application service in IMS or other voice over IP network, the usage of resource in your network have been increased, because the most significant of resource are used by relaying multimedia in the network. With using LRKProxy in your network, you could manage and optimize resources. And
I see.
how? For example, you could see the network or the topology of the IMS, and we use LRKProxy in the data layer of our models for carrying multimedia from, for example, we use CP for generating calls and generating multimedia to carry the multimedia to other sections of our networks. The architecture of LRKProxy model could be run as a standalone node. You could see here we have an standalone LRKProxy, or with integrated with other network in IMS. For example, if we use Kamailio as an IBCF or MGCF, we could integrate LRK module with them for using as LRKProxy for relaying multimedia to other IMS network or other PSTN network. LRKProxy is composed of two different layers. The first layer is run as a module for Kamailio and developed as a user space application. Is like as other typical Kamailio module for using in Kamailio, and the second layer should be used as a service and developed in a kernel space. The first layer gather some information like STP information and send them to the second layer, and second layer is responsible for creating index cache and fast research for finding any match RTP session to relay the RTP packets or follow to other equipment or device or other network. LRKProxy has a different parameter. For example, in this parameter, we could use the one LRKProxy control layer and multiple stateful layer for having load balancing in our project or our networks. For example, with using this parameter LRKProxy algorithm to one, we have using a round robin algorithm for using all of our nodes in IMS network. LRKProxy control layer or first layer get all information about creating session, which is gotten from STP body, and relay them to LRKProxy or the second layer for creating index facts lookup. For example, in the left picture, you could see a simple STP session STP description protocol with some of some of information like as the IP for sending multimedia and the port for reserved for audio and the direction of media send and receive. We use this information and send them to the second layer. Here is a log sys file from syslog in Kamailio. For example, a new call setup is generated with call ID. Here is call ID. Here is a branch ID. SRC IP is the IP or the user equipment that make calls. Here is our IP for LRKProxy. Use the same IP here. Or here is internal IP, and this one is internal IP, and this one is external IP. And this IP is responsible for other leg in our session. The second layer is developed in kernel space as main decision point for RTP admission control and quick pass lookup search to where a received packet should be forwarded. Let's talk quite a bit about net filter hook. We have 5 net filter hook in network stack. For example, peer routing and input or local input. Here is responsible for a local output, and here is responsible for forwarding the packets. And the last one is a post routing, responsible for forwarding or go out packet from the NIC driver. When the packet received with NIC driver, according to interruption request affinization, the packet goes to queue and responsive, and some core CPU core responsible for handle the packets and goes to peer routing. In peer routing, we load our module for doing fast lookup to the next destination and goes to forward to packet to next destination like this. So packet CPU core and peer routing in LRKP TLS,
Nice.
we change some information about the next destination, and all packets go forward to other destination. For doing some tests, we use all default Kamailio configuration in our system of models. You could see details of our system of models in solution. In Kamailio CFT file, it's very straightforward. You should use this command for loading like a proxy.
I see.
And here is the interface for handshaking with like a proxy engine. Probably in your network on or in your solution, you want to use other attribute value pair as IP. You could set this parameter, and here use define the algorithm for if you have multiple nodes as like a proxy. And it's very straightforward for using like a proxy or call like a proxy and manage. And here is like a proxy config. For example, we defined 20,000 for a start port and 40,000 for endpoint. LRK use these ports for relaying media. If you want to have exchange between multiple NIC, you could use internal IP and external IP. And one thing is important here is a unique socket for relaying STP information to kernel space. We use a Unix socket for relaying all STP information to kernel space. Yes, and about performance evaluation, we evaluate like a proxy and its quality of service when session calls are increasing per second more and more. The metric that we focused on are packet loss, delay, jitter, most most score or IP factor, and call per second and voice codec. Some other parameters could have positive impact when using like a proxy. For example, queue buffer length in your NIC driver or number of NIC driver queue. Let's check again. Yes. In this picture, you could see relation between interruption request affinization and NIC multi-queue. With increasing number of queue in your drive in a driver, it's very simple. The performance of CPU core is increased. Different colors show different codec in our system of models. One of in this slide, I want to talk about some advantage of using like a proxy. For example, changing STP parameter will be done by Kamailio, not by like a proxy. And forwarding packet will be doing in pre-routing, hooking in NIC driver network, NIC driver stack. LRKProxy full support NAT traversal. It's work as a turn server for endpoints. You could set some STP custom information by setting attribute value pair in your configuration file. Notice you should active forwarding in forwarding packets in your operating system. And the last thing I want to say is LRKProxy. Our research is published in IEEE. You could see improved performance of RTP relaying session in IMS with LRE. After its name was LRKProxy. After some negotiation with Kamailio developer, it's changed to LRKProxy. And thank you very much for this opportunity. Let's share. If I have time, I have a simple test and configuration and make call with LRK. Yes.
Absolutely. Nice.
Okay.
Oh, we love demos. We never have demos.
Okay. Let's start LRKProxy. When PC. PY.proxy. Yes. Here is some configuration about LRKProxy. We use this IP for internal. It's very simple. And let's run it. After run it, if you check kernel space, you could see LRKProxy is loaded successfully. Okay, and let's check Kamailio configuration file. And with LRK. Yes. Here we loaded LRKProxy module with this LRKProxy sockets and some other parameter. Let's restart Kamailio. Okay. After yes, we could see the Kamailio successfully connected to LRKProxy.
Nice.
Yes, LRKProxy here. Internal IP. Here is a default configuration after LRKProxy in Kamailio is configured successfully. For example, start port, end port, and the IP of LRKProxy. Okay, let's make a call. Let's check our client is registered. Yes. And this one. Okay. Yes, okay. Let's check our logs here. Let's make this. Yes, the call is generating. You could see like a proxy here. Let's answer the call. Yes, 1 2 3. Okay, and here. Okay, in kernel space, we receive this message. Means we have a new call setup. Here is all information the LRKProxy gather from STP information and create some index for lookup.
Mm-hmm.
After the call is terminated, all keys should be removed from from kernel. Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity.
That's super interesting.
Thank you, thank you.
Cool. So, few questions, so we can maybe look at a few things together. What's the typical usage for LRKProxy like? What is which scenarios do you recommend using LRKProxy for?
We could use you could use like a proxy in different scenario because one of the parameter that we could use in like a proxy is game theory options. In game theory option, we could use this scenario in huge network or IMS transaction network that responsible for delivering huge number of RTP packets from one leg to another leg.
Okay, so
In
large traffic.
Yes. In other scenario, it is very simple. Use like a proxy in a normal solution for using like a proxy in your network. It's because its configuration is way straightforward.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, there's always space for a different way to route traffic. It's always helpful to have something that can be used to move large numbers of packets, because very often the main problem is scale. Like every time I run into a problem, it's some variation of scale, like too much traffic.
Maybe you wanna use other services like RTP proxy, like RTP engine, but using like a proxy, we if you use like a proxy, the usage of a resource is very less than other types, because I have experience working with RTP engine, with RTP proxy, but the relaying RTP between two legs, it's too consuming resource.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you very much. That's a super that's a super interesting model. I think a lot of people will find it very useful for their own projects.
Okay, thank
Well,
you. You too.
Mojtaba, thank you for joining us today. It was really interesting. I'm always happy when we have someone who's an actual developer who can show code and have demos, etc. We got people from all walks, but the always looking at someone actually doing the work is always super interesting. So thank you
Okay,
for joining us today.
thank you. You too. Thank you for ClueCon Weekly for having me, and have a good day.
And I hope, well, if you can join us at ClueCon in October in Chicago, that will be great for you, for
Yes.
everybody else in the audience. Website is ClueCon.com. Go take a look. I think there's still a special going on for the rest of the month for the tickets. And there will be a lot of people who will be in person. And I will be doing some training, and I'll be doing some interesting demos. And a lot of people will be doing a lot of interesting stuff. So if anybody is interested, just let us know, and we'll be happy to have you.
Yes. I registered myself as a speaker, and I hope my topic was selected.
We will know
Um,
at the end of the month. I think they pick the speakers at the end of the month, so they'll
okay.
certainly let you know. But
Thank,
anybody else would like to apply, you still have a few days. You don't have much time, but you still have a few days. So if you want to have a go at it, just let us know. Cool.
okay.
So
Thank you.
again, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
And for the rest of the people, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye bye.